Bright 2 has been delayed because of Will Smith's hectic schedule. That is the headline on today's NBA Movie News.
That is the headline. John. Bright 2 has been delayed. Boo-hoo. If you've seen the first one, you'll not be very emotional about this news. I don't know about yourself, John, but I only got halfway through the original movie back in 2017. I think it was actually 2018 at the turn of the year. I know Chauncey, one of our writers, did a very honest review on the film.
Yes.
He said it was an incoherent mess. I can't disagree with that. I thought it was for an original film from Netflix, that isn't based on anything. They built it up from scratch. They will see it as a mild success for, I was about to say box office figures there, but obviously it's subscription figures. For the budget alone and obviously viewing figures, it was a mild success for them. But doesn't mean it's a good film, John.
No.
So I'm actually surprised, there is a sequel in the works. And there was always going to be a sequel in the works even before the release of the original movie.
It's even because Netflix, as you did say, had unbelievable confidence in this movie going over well with perhaps critics and just general plebingtons out in there that are Netflix subscribers in the audience, general audience like us. They'd confidence that they would deem this movie at least semi-decent and a success, and then they obviously, as a result, green-lighted a sequel before it was even released on the platform itself. Stephen, I've never seen the original Bright. I did see the reviews absolutely tanning it. I try not to let that affect my judgment on a movie. I try to go in and I know it's subjective, all art is subjective, so I try to go in and give my own opinion after seeing it. But I did let that affect me, and I never did get around to watching it, purely because I know Netflix's hit ratio is usually 60-40, 60% utter shite, 40% pretty good, and that's the original content, not just as a wide range of all the stuff that's on there, because they do obviously own rights, or temporary rights in some cases, like Star Wars and whatnot, to some incredible content which isn't theirs. But their original content, 60-40 usually, so I never went to see it, and I never watched it because it was never in the theatres anyway. But I knew Will Smith was in there, and I knew it was a sort of a dystopian, futuristic world where aliens are semi-living harmoniously with humanity.
Yeah,
but
there is a lot of elves and
orcs and elves. Sorry, it wasn't aliens; it was orcs and elves. So it was a strange amalgamation of sort of a Tolkien-esque themes with a strange futuristic Star Trek theme, but we're all one in this sort of a beautiful futuristic setting. But they weren't all one. It was riddled with racism. And obviously they say they explore this with allegorical themes. A little bit clunkily, Stephen, they say. And that is one of the primary reasons perhaps the critics didn't get on board with it at the time. It was clunky in its way of storytelling and just its use of allegory and whatnot, and apparently the world building wasn't quite on point. And as you did say, Chauncey reviewed it, thought it was an absolute mess of a movie, incoherent mess, didn't really go anywhere. So I'm surprised, Stephen, they're continuing on with it after the critical response, but by all accounts the audience did enjoy it, who actually took the time to go and watch it. The majority, if you can define enjoyment as just sheer viewing numbers.
The only thing I can think of, John, is why they're pressing ahead with it, are it's still penciled in, is probably because they've got Will Smith's signature.
I think that's it.
Possibly do a sequel, and they don't want to let go of that. When you get someone like Will Smith on board, then it's very hard to let go, despite what happened to that original movie. Will Smith's schedule, John, you had a little look. Obviously, to see what is coming up. We did get a bit of a flavour for one of the trailer reactions we did a couple of weeks ago for Bad Boys. I can't remember what the title's called again.
For Life.
For Life, yeah. So we also, I think, mentioned there's possibly a fourth instalment of that franchise as well coming in.
I think that's already penciled in. That is the most furthest out pre-production movie which is on his schedule at the moment, Stephen. We have King Richard. Also, we have Gemini Man coming out this year. That is completed, so that doesn't really factor into the discussion here. We then have Bad Boys for Life, which is in post-production. Again, doesn't factor into the discussion. It doesn't eat into his ability to film new movies. King Richard, pre-production, set for 2020. It starts to eat in because he's not actually started filming, so that will be at least, you'd imagine, depending on the size of the role. And it's Will Smith. He's usually the leading man in a movie. starring role, so he will be in the overwhelming majority of shots in that movie. You're talking minimum maybe 3 months if it's a very small production, probably 4 months. Then he has Bad Boys 4, pre-production, not get a release date as of yet, not started the shooting again. It will be him in a joint role, I'd imagine, and it will again be another 4 or 5 months of perhaps his time being eaten up. So already you have 10, 11 months. So I can't see any production beginning for Bright 2 within the next year. I see it being firmly into mid to late 2020 before we even remotely have a look at it. Probably even 2021, and then it will not release for maybe another year, 2022. So it's a way out yet, Stephen. And look, I can understand, again, not going back myself here, but I can understand what they're saying about mismatch of themes and clunkily using allegory and whatnot to tell about racist values and whatnot. Values, that's the wrong word, but just racist opinions on things in the future and whatnot, and they're trying to paint sort of pictures of what it's like. They're showing us where we're going wrong in today's society, essentially, with the likes of Trump and whatnot and his backwards bullshit, essentially. They're trying to rain down positive things for us. Look, this is how you can learn. If you do it this way, then the world will be a better place. Things like that. We've seen this done before, Stephen.
Yeah.
And many a futuristic action movie and the likes of Oblivion and whatnot, that Tom Cruise movie. We've seen it in Maze Runner, the Hunger Games franchise. They're all set within actual novels, a lot of them, though. I think Maze Runner's a novel, Hunger Games is a novel. Certainly The Children of Men, which I think came out a while back. I think they're actually doing another one, perhaps, was based on a novel which I read. If that's the one about the spiders, I'm not sure. But yeah, you need to handle those well for it to be a success, critically anyway, with the critics and the audience alike. You need to blend in the use of allegory, maybe satire in some instances, with the right sort of a balance and action and good performances for it to be an actual out-and-out success. So sadly they've not done that, but it's Netflix. And again, getting back to Chauncey, he does touch upon it. It was like a new dawn for Netflix. They thought they would grab the bull by the horns and show all of those traditional studios the way to do these action movies which were from a bygone era, but didn't work.
I think as well because it was original. It was one of their original original films as well, John.
Yeah.
This was pre-Roma, wasn't it? This was So I mean, they've obviously learned a lot since then, but it's certainly not well, certainly they haven't, because they're pressing ahead with a sequel that shouldn't be made. So, but it's not.
They've got a lot of other movies which were crap as well.
Yeah,
and a lot of good ones.
They're just like anything, you've just got to learn by your mistakes. But certainly with this one, I think it is probably because Will Smith,
is
signed on for a sequel and they don't want to let it go. Why would you? But listen, we'll move on from Will Smith to Will Ferrell, John. He is apparently teaming up with Ryan Reynolds for a Christmas Carol musical. This is according to Cinema Blend, John. Will Ferrell is no stranger to Christmas films. Obviously, he is the star of the heartfelt Elf film, John, which I think everyone manages to, classic. Sort of grab a viewing over the festive period every year since its release, John. It's certainly one of my favourite Christmas movies, but teaming up with Ryan Reynolds is quite an interesting a team up, John. We know that Will Ferrell in the past has worked with the likes of John C. Reilly in a lot of projects. We know as well, I think we talked about his he parted ways with his long-time collaborator Adam McKay. We talked about that a few months ago, which sort of has paved the way for this involvement with Ryan Reynolds. Now, Ryan Reynolds, we best known him for his sort of more dry, sort of dark humour in the likes of Deadpool, John. Will Ferrell, I always find him the total opposite of that type of humour, but that's where it works, I think, when you've got two opposites coming together. It's quite an interesting concept. The only thing is, A Christmas Carol, it's been done to death. There's so many iterations of it. You've got the Muppet version as well in there. What's your views, John, on this team up with these two comedic actors?
Stephen, I think it's a match made in heaven. If the right script is involved and the right creative people are involved behind the scenes. The two guys are incredibly funny. They have incredible range. They can do a whole host of different movies. My one concern is it's a Christmas Carol musical. Do we know that Ryan Reynolds can sing? I'm not sure if he can sing. Does he need to sing? I think Will Ferrell, the absolute limit I've seen of his singing was the Tight Pants skit I think on Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
Done okay. It's not going to break records with his singing voice.
Not going to get any Emmys for that.
No, Fallon can sing. Sadly, he not so good. But I don't know how it would work in a singing setup. I don't know if they have got the voices. Perhaps they have, and I've just not heard them. But I've not seen any movies showcasing it. But in terms of the two guys' comedic talents and what they could bring to a comedy-heavy, A Christmas Carol movie, I think that's a match made in heaven, Stephen. As you did say, he did split up with Adam McKay, was it?
Yep.
His long-term sort of a production partner. And I think that's probably the best thing, Stephen. We've seen that relationship starting to yield slightly less success
I think
as
so,
the years went on. I think their last team-up was for that god-awful Sherlock Holmes and Watson movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was involved, I may be wrong, but him going from that sort of a monogamy relationship to a more polygamy, if that's the right word, relationship, where he's not shoehorned into just this one relationship, production, creative relationship. He can go on and do multiple projects with different faces. I think that'll be good for Mackay and it'll be good for Will Ferrell as well, Stephen, because the guy, certainly when he gets out and about and does things, he's usually very funny, very talented chap. I don't know how to process the prospect of another Christmas Carol movie though. As they do say in this long article, there's been so many Dickens adaptations, some good, some shite. The Muppet Christmas Carol, Stephen, I said to you before we came on, one of my all-time favourite movies as a child growing up. I loved the Muppets. Slightly before my time, but I think they came back on the scene in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then the Muppets A Christmas Carol was a fantastic movie for me.
The one with Michael Caine,
Michael Caine,
it?
I was about to say, the great Michael Caine.
My favourite version of the classic was probably Scrooged, Bill Murray one. I thought that was really funny, very original as well, considering what it's based on. They took the sort of elements and the sort of premise of the original classic, but put a spin on it.
Who do you think, Stephen, would play the Scrooge in this out of these two? Because it would have to be one of them.
I think probably Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, that's what I thought.
He's got, as I said, he's got the dry wit. Very similar to Bill Murray, actually, funny enough. If they maybe go down that road, maybe it's going to be that sort of humour about it. But obviously with the musical elements as well. It kind of cast me in my mind back to Last Christmas, 2018, when we had that infamous photograph of Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. And I think they were playing a prank on Ryan Reynolds. Well, it was a kind of pretend prank, but I would love to see those three guys in a film, some kind of comedy.
Hilarious. Yeah,
and
he's a very
if
funny
it's going
chap.
to be a musical, we know that Hugh Jackman can do that anyway.
Stephen, you've just wrote a better version of this movie.
Yeah.
Scratch Will Ferrell. In fact, bring him in as well. Why not? Have what would that be, a quintet?
Yeah.
Of incredible comedic and all singing, all dancing actors.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a match made in
heaven. The other thing
heaven.
as well, John, since Elf, there hasn't really been a classic Christmas movie made. I understand there's only so many that you can churn out. The last one I saw was The Night Before with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Anthony Mackie and Seth Rogen, which was it wasn't an out-and-out Christmas film. It was based around the Christmas period, and it was a comedy. That's the one where Joseph Gordon-Levitt's dressed up as Elf, and it's a famous gif where he pulls a sort of wee chortly face. But
The Grinch from last year, that was a remake though. Adaptation. Perhaps more.
It was okay, but there hasn't really been one since Elf, John. So it's interesting to see. Obviously, there's not very many details in this article as it stands, John, but there's still time.
Apart from the director, Stephen, they are getting on board. I believe, if I'm not jumping ahead an article, I think it's pretty decent directors. Is that even the right article I'm on? I don't even know.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's Anders and Morris.
Oh, Anders and Morris, yeah.
Chaps who were involved with
Daddy's Home, yeah.
Daddy's Home, yeah. So
they were the directors,
guys, yeah. So they're two decent directors for the genre. I think that's probably the correct choice. And see, I think they're just seeing the studio, whoever it is that's involved. I've actually not got the studio in front of me who's looking to perhaps greenlight this. I think they're just seeing the growing rise of interest in musicals over the last few years. We've seen it with The Greatest Showman, La La Land, we've seen it with goddamn Rocket Man, everything. There's a real renewed interest, even the films like Trolls, children's musical, heavy musical elements. They've all been successful in different degrees. Seems to be an audience there who will lap it up. It's Christmas. Who doesn't like a good musical at Christmas? I think Cats is coming out this Christmas as well. Looks terrifying in some parts, but I'm sure it will do absolutely incredibly at the box office. And they're looking to just perhaps hijack that and come along with another adapted version of the great Charles Dickens novel, book, whatever the hell it is. I've never read it.
Yeah.
I thought I was saying his name wrong there briefly, but no, it's definitely Charles Dickens, Stephen. And it's much like the classic King Arthur story. It just gets retold again and again and again. Most of the time it's shite, but with these two guys involved, there is hope that we may get one last great rendition of this classic story, if it's handled correctly and they get the right writers on board. Certainly the directors look promising, and the two leading actors look promising as well.
Ingredients there, John. But we'll move on anyway to our final article before we move on to box office. This is a little bit of news about Indiana Jones 5, or lack of it should be said, because a lot of the sort of talk over the last 5 years, I think maybe over the last year we've not heard a blip about the developments of this.
Probably for the best.
Well, I think so.
The
Crystal Skull from 2007, John. But it's interesting, that there's been, the silence has been deafening over the last year. I think the last time we heard of this was probably the promotion of The Force Awakens, when Harrison Ford was doing his rounds and promoting that film. You can't help but mention his other great franchise and great character, and I was about to say Han Solo and Indiana Jones, and that was the talk. That was the talk at the time when he was getting asked the question, that there was something in the mix, that they had a story, they had some ideas, and a lot of casting ideas as well, and who was going to write this. It does mention something about, I think it's one of the Kasdans as well, Jonathan Kasdan.
That's his son,
and Dan Fogelman. On separate occasions, it says here, but there's nothing been concrete yet, officially coming from the studio, John, or from Steven Spielberg, who is obviously, one of the main players in this franchise. What's your thoughts on this article in regards to where we're at with the Indiana Jones franchise? Because we do know that Harrison Ford, as long as he's living and breathing, he does not want anyone else to play the character. He certainly, he's made it clear that he is the only Indiana Jones, and he's certainly not want to pass that torch on to any younger actors.
Stephen, I don't blame him for not wanting to pass that torch on to any younger actors, because after Solo, which I enjoyed actually, I actually thought Holden Ehrenreich was pretty good in that. But who can blame him if he thinks, look what they've done, they've butchered this legendary character which I made, in a sense, with my great performances. They've took it, it's a box office flop. I'm not doing it again, because indirectly they're besmirching my name by destroying a character. Who would, after Shia LaBeouf, I think it was, in Kingdom of the Lost,
he played his son,
whatever. He played his son. That was meant to be the passing of a baton. It was an absolute disaster of a movie, Stephen. Don't think it was down to Harrison.
No.
But who can blame him for not wanting to pass the baton over if that's what they're going to get in his place? No. If they're going to do it, one last hurrah with Harrison Ford involved. I'm up for it, Stephen. What do I make of the lack of news regarding it? I'm not too sure, Stephen. What I do think, though, is that they really have to get the acts together here quickly, because he's 78, I think 77, not getting any younger. He's a very fit guy. Seen photos the other day of him out and about, absolutely chiselled. Got a haircut. He's got rid of the beard as well, so he's still youthful, I suppose. He's still flying his planes around, so he's got a few years left, but they really need to get their skates on, Stephen, and get this moving. But look, it's apparently been in development limbo, as you did say, Stephen, for 3 years. They really have to get their act together. If it's Spielberg who's involved indirectly, the executive producing, he really has to get it going now. You're right, it was about Force Awakens time I last heard about it.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to use that sort of a renaissance for his career. Not that he was ever away, but he dipped a little to perhaps catapult it and maybe give this one last great Indiana Jones movie. Some would say there was only two. I wouldn't really ignore that. I probably agree with that assertion, because it was me that was making it. It was me that was saying there's no one else. I take it back. But yeah, Stephen, writers, Jonathan Kasdan, he's a mixed bag, isn't he? He was involved in Solo. I think he'd done that with Lawrence Kasdan. It was okay.
Yep.
I don't know much about Dan Fogelman. I think I've heard the chap's name before. He was mostly involved in sort of rom-com movies, like Crazy Stupid Love and whatnot. Cars, the original Cars. David Coit, though, is the guy who was originally supposed to come in There's talk that he may be coming in as the sole writer again. He's the guy, Stephen, I think we spoke about this previously, that I want to see coming in and doing this. He was the guy that wrote Spider-Man from 2002. Still up there as one of the greatest Spider-Man movies ever made. He done Stir of Echoes.
Just come back to Spider-Man just before you move
Jurassic
on.
Park.
Spider-Man, the story of that wasn't really original, to be
no,
fair.
No, it was an origin story, yeah.
So I wouldn't really give him credit for that, to be honest with you.
No, but he's done a hell of a lot of good
Stir of
movies.
Echoes was a really underrated film. It came out, I think, the same year as The Sixth Sense, so it was very under the radar, John. Very much in tone and plot with The Sixth Sense, but for some reason a lot of people missed that one from Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, Stephen, they done Panic Room as well.
Great
so he's
film,
been involved in a lot of good movies, and yeah, I would like to see him coming on board. But yeah, I've not got much more to add, Stephen. It's a shame it's in development limbo. I'm saying it's a shame. I'm completely lying. I don't really want to see another Indiana Jones movie. I feel like they should have kept it to a trilogy. There was no need for that Crystal Skull movie. It was god awful.
What were you playing at, Junior?
What were you playing at, Junior? Indeed. There was no need for it. Much like Toy Story, at least Toy Story did end in a sort of a high. I mean, success at the box office. Decent story. Nowhere near as bad as Crystal Skull. I don't feel the need for it, but again, if much like what we were speaking about previously, if they get the right writers on board, if Coit comes in, good director, and we finally get out of limbo, then we'll see what happens. But I've not got much more to add to that,
We'll move on, John.
So we will move on to the box office stage of the show. Stephen, what have we got coming in at number 1? This is for the weekend of September 13th to 15th, 2019. Incidentally, I had to look at Stephen's iPad there.
That's okay, but coming in at number 1, John, is Downton Abbey in its first week. It's grossed £5 million over the weekend, £6 million overall.
Yeah, Stephen.
Say that very slowly there, because I know you were still getting yourself set up with the iPad, John.
Yeah, Stephen, it'll be a short and sweet discussion because I have never seen a single episode of Downton Abbey. No. It's made £6 million over its first weekend. Not a surprise. It's opened in a very large and impressive amount of theatres, 700. That's pretty damn decent. Overall, $61.8 million worldwide. Don't have budgetary information at the moment, but it's based on the TV show, Stephen. It's a wildly successful TV show with a whole array of fans, and they've been screaming for this for a number of years. I've seen the cast doing the press junkets, going on the TV, the late night shows and whatnot. Quite happy to be back, fairly enthusiastic, and there's a demographic there waiting to eat it up. I'm not the demographic. So I've not got much more to add. It's successful.
Absolutely nothing to add, John, because I've never seen the TV series and I certainly won't be watching this film. Coming in at number 2 this week, it's It Chapter 2 in its second week. It's grossed £3.2 million over the weekend, £13.6 million overall.
Yes, Stephen, we have both seen this one. We are both fans of Stephen King's work indirectly. I've not read the novel. I need to get that addressed. Haven't seen these two movies now. I have to go and see what was left out, what the plan is from Muschietti for this elongated 5-hour version. Yeah. But Stephen, a massive success worldwide, $358.8 million. It's the second biggest horror movie opener of all time. And look, it was okay. I says that to you, Stephen. It was just okay. There was moments that were clunky in it. I felt like it went all over the place a little bit too much. It was neat the way they handled the younger cast coming into the older cast, coming back to the younger cast, but it was a little clunky. Pennywise again, there's not enough clown, and he's just not scary, but there is creepy moments. It was well shot in the main. CGI was okay, and the older cast were fantastically. Some CGI bits that
were a bit dodgy, John,
the older women.
I think the older cast, older aged cast, I should say. The older cast are actually younger ones, because they're been in it a lot more. But James McAvoy, etc., Bill Hader were fantastic. I thought Hader was excellent.
Unbelievable.
I think he carried the film for most of it as well, John.
He did.
But you're right, I think it kept in tone with the first one as well, which was more important, because this is the second chapter, the follow-up. I didn't feel it felt shoehorned in, or it didn't change its sort of tone in any way or pacing either. And the look of the film as well was always important. Just the sort of that authenticity of the movie as well, with the flashbacks, and going back and forth. And also as well, the surrounding of the town as well, Derry it's called, isn't it? Yeah. It's just one of those creepy places. I've always said, John, and even with the Tim Curry version of it, it was never a scary film or TV adaptation at the time it was, for me personally, it was always more creepy, and that town certainly was creepy.
Stephen, I think it's just, if you're viewing it as an adult, it just loses its impact. I grew up as a young child watching that Tim Curry miniseries. That mentally scarred me for years. That terrified me. Good Lord, that guy was terrifying.
Yeah.
And it haunted me. This one, not so much, because I'm an adult now and I know it's not real.
Yeah,
But Bill Skarsgård, not taking anything away from the guy, fantastic actor. And once again, he is a real standout alongside Bill Hader, as you did say, as the two primary sort of a character. There was a whole host of primary characters, but they were the standouts. But look, Stephen, we'll move on.
Yeah,
number 3.
First week, John, it's Hustlers. It's grossed £1.4 million over the weekend, and that's, of course, overall.
Yeah, Stephen, this is, I think, the Cardi B sort of a kid semi-biography, biopic. I think it's about her. Seeing the trailer for it when I was in the theatre, I think going to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for the second time. It's apparently mind-blowing. It's apparently a very good movie. It's not really for me.
No.
It didn't tick my boxes. It's not the movie I'd go and pay money to see. But $20 million budget, very low budget in today's era. Already grossed just under $72.4 million worldwide. It's got a really good cast. I think J-Lo's in there. Jennifer Lopez, there's a few others.
Yeah.
Apparently it's good. And
apparently
it's
she's good as well, John. So what I've been hearing, her performance is fantastic. But
a J-Lo renaissance.
I think it's going to be one of those ones that maybe if I get time, John, I will catch this, because I'm hearing good things about it, so why not? But we'll move on.
It will depend if it comes up in the Bob Rundown. If it does, I'll go see it.
I think it might.
If it doesn't, I won't.
But we'll move on anyway to number 4 this week, and it's 5th week. It's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, grossing £600,000 over the weekend, slight dip there, and 19.3 million overall.
Stephen, £19.3 million for a movie set in a bygone era of Hollywood is very impressive indeed, and I'm so happy to see it earning some money, because it deserves it. It's a fantastic movie, lovingly crafted from a guy who's from that era, from that town. Beautiful performances from DiCaprio and Pitt. $344.5 million worldwide, just a $90 million budget. Still second in the Tarantino showdown, but that's domestically in the States. I don't know about all time. So yeah, look, I'm glad. I loved it. I've seen it twice, and it deserves its money.
5 this week, John. We're halfway through. It's a Lion King in its 9th week now. It's grossed £400,000 over the weekend, 72.6 million overall.
Yes, Stephen, this is obviously the remake of the 1990 movie, 93 movie, 94. Whenever it was, we spoke about this ad nauseum for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. 30% drop, Stephen, 37% drop, 9th week, £17 million plus after 9 weeks is incredible. For the United Kingdom. It's all, proportionately, it's a small place, United Kingdom, in the grand scheme of things. $260 million budget. $1.629 billion, Stephen. Utterly incredible performance. I think it's second all time in terms of animations, and it's number 1 in terms of Disney live action reimaginings. I'm tripping out my nut here.
No.
We both enjoyed the movie, Stephen, I think it's fair to say. And it thoroughly deserves its box office cum, and I think we'll see a sequel.
I think we will, John. Simba's Pride. But we'll move on to number 6 this week. That's true. Yeah. It's an animated film, not making that up. It's Angel Has Fallen in its 4th week. It's grossed £400,000 over the weekend, £6.7 million overall. Yeah,
Stephen, it's never a good sign for a movie when it's just a month out and it's already losing theatres at an alarming rate. 130 theatres down. 4th weekend, 44.1% drop. It's not good for this movie, Stephen. $40 million budget. Slightly better outlook on the worldwide scale, if you like. $118.2 million. Just about broken even when you take into account promotion, cuts for the theatres. That's what it is. It's a 3rd in the franchise, and it's sitting 2nd in the franchise overall. Just nudged. London Has Fallen down a notch. So yeah, that's what it is. I've not seen it.
Yeah, another film is what it is Casino Royale, John. It's in its 15th week now.
Wow.
Secret Cinema.
Oh, it's still in there.
I think it's time to let these people out. I think this is shocking. They're actually locking those doors and keeping the people in and making them pay every week for this. £300,000 over the weekend, 7.6 million overall.
Stephen, I tell you what though, joking aside, what a performance for this setup. I've only really started paying notice or attention to this couple of years ago, because it was only really a couple of years ago we started doing this, Stephen. Year and a half we've done the audio shows based around box office.
Yeah.
That's when it came into my consciousness. This thing was a thing, Secret Cinema. I think this is the best performing one to date. I'd have to go back and look at the Blade Runner one, and I think it was something else prior to that. I can't recall which one it was, but I think this is the best performing now of the Secret Cinemas. It may be wrong.
Without a doubt, John, I
Look,
think it is.
I'm getting bored of talking about it. Just go away.
Yeah,
please.
We'll move on to Dora and the Lost City of Gold, John, coming in at number 8. It's in its 5th week now. It's grossed £300,000 over the weekend, 5.1 million overall. Yeah,
such dropping feet, Stephen. It's not going to be around much longer. No. But then I did say about the same thing about Casino Royale, and it's still in here 3 weeks later. So what do I know? Clearly nothing. $49 million budget, $98.7 million worldwide, Stephen. That is ghastly. We will not be getting a sequel green-lighted for numerous reasons, because Isabella Mona, unless she is perpetually kept at her same age, is going to be way too old for sequels.
Yeah,
and it is
I think she's too old just now.
Flippity flop.
Yeah, we'll move on to number 9 this week, and its 13th week. It's Toy Story 4, grossing £300,000 over the weekend, £65 million overall.
Stephen, it's been out for 13 weeks, much like Casino Royale. I preferred this one though to Casino Royale, but we're getting bored of talking about it now. It's come to the end of its box office stint. It's still just over $1 billion worldwide. It's not really going to add much more. It's clinging on for dear life. I think that the reason this and the likes of Casino Royale are still here in the top 10 is that we're in that sort of limbo stage between the summer blockbuster period and getting into the award season period.
Yeah.
So transitioning slowly. We've got Rambo, we've got Ad Astra, which I've seen the two of them incidentally, but they're not in there. But once they start coming in, it'll knock these movies out. Joker is coming out about a week's time.
So a lot to look forward to as well, John. So who knows? But we'll move on to number 10 this week. It's a Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, and its 7th week now. It's grossed £200,000 over the weekend, 19.3 million overall.
Yeah, Stephen, 19.3 million for a spin-off to the greater Fast and Furious franchise is not to be laughed at all. $200 million budget. $750.1 million worldwide. What a success for the Jason Statham, Dwayne Johnson movie. I enjoyed it. Dwayne, really enjoyed the movie. I thought it is what it is. No real coherent story, but just as an excuse to get these two all-out action stars together. Some humour in there. It did exactly what it said on the tin. It's some shite paint company it used to advertise back in the 1990s or something. But yeah, Stephen, look, it is what it is. It's at the end of its stint, and we are at the end of this show today, so I'm going to round it up on that note.
Yeah.
What the hell did you guys make of the array of topics we spoke about? Should Indiana Jones be remade? Should Bright 2 be remade? What the hell did you make of the other topic, which has completely left my mind? What did you make of the various placings in the box office this week?
The Christmas Carol.
The Christmas Carol movie with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. That's right, Stephen. If you've got anything to say about any of them, comment below and let me know, and let Stephen know what your thoughts were. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content, and me and Stephen will be back tomorrow with NBA Heroes.